Lesson number 1 is titled Number Bonds. It meets Content Standard 1.0A.A.1, Represent and Solve Problems Involving Addition and Subtraction. It meets Practice Standard 2, Reason Abstractly and Quantitatively, Standard 4, Model with Mathematics, Standard 5, Use Appropriate Tools Strategically. Our instructional objectives are for students to represent factor families through 12 using number bonds. Students will complete this task with 100% accuracy. Students will use manipulatives, 2-die, to represent the numbers in the factor families they are constructing. The materials needed will be a number bond worksheet, a whiteboard, and 2-die. We will activate students' prior knowledge by recalling a number bonds activity from the previous day that showed student understanding of fact families through 10. I will begin the lesson by asking students to recall number bonds from the day before. I will ask them to come up with a number between 1 and 10 and then complete a number bond. Once the bond is completed, I will ask the students to identify the parts of the whole and the whole number. Our introduction will consist of a demonstration of the understanding of number bonds by completing a bond of the student's choosing. They will select a number between 1 and 10. I will introduce the dice to the student. I will ask the students, how many sides does this dice have? If I have 2 of them, how many sides do I have in total? What do you notice on the die? How many dots can I have in total if I roll the 2 die at once? We will move on and we will begin by doing a number bond for 12 altogether. Students will take turns rolling the die. I will help students identify the parts of a whole and then the whole. I will continue to assist them until I feel that they have a solid understanding. I will facilitate the rolling of the die, but begin to ask students to identify the parts and the whole on their own. I will ask the students which numbers are the parts of our whole number. What is our whole number? How did you find that? Did anyone else find the whole number using a different strategy? I will close the lesson by returning to the 12 number bond. As a group, we will determine if there are any other ways to make 12, excluding our original solution. I will ask the students, how else can we make 12? What strategy did you use to find your answer? Can you show me how you found your parts of the whole? I will assess my students by monitoring their work throughout the lesson. If I notice a student struggling, I will focus in on their process to see what can be done. I will revisit the problem with the struggling student and help them work through it. At the end of the lesson, I will collect the number bond worksheet as a summative assessment. My cooperating teacher will review the papers to determine whether the topic needs to be retaught. For above target students, I may challenge them to find more than one factor family to complete a number bond. For above target students, I may challenge them to find 3 parts of a whole. They will use manipulatives to show their thinking. Below target students will be given manipulatives to represent the numbers they are working with. We will use counting chips to manipulate the numbers. I will set aside time to assist struggling students so as not to draw negative attention during the lesson. As an extension, in the next math lesson, students will be asked to create addition sentences using number bonds. This will allow them to better see the relationship between factor families, and number bonds, and addition.
Content Standard 1.0A.A.1 represents and solves problems involving addition and subtraction. Our practice standards are to reason abstractly and quantitatively, model with mathematics, and use appropriate tools strategically. The instructional objectives are: students will represent the whole of a number bond after being given 2 parts. Students will manipulate counting bears in hoops in order to represent a number bond, and students will use whiteboards with blank number bonds on them. Our materials include number bond whiteboards, hula hoops, and counting bears. For students' prior knowledge, a number bond activity from the previous day taught them to understand factor families through 10. Our introduction includes the teacher will model number bonds using hula hoops and counting bears. The teacher will ask students to make 2 parts from one given whole. A question would be, are there different ways to make 2 parts from one whole? This will take about 3 to 7 minutes. The students will then be given a whiteboard with blank number bonds on them. The teacher will give the students 2 parts and ask them to find the whole. The students will then be given a worksheet for independent practice. This portion will take about 15 to 20 minutes. Lastly, the students will be asked to create their own number bonds and share them with a buddy.
Will meet Content Standard 1.0A.A.1, represents and solve problems involving addition and subtraction, as well as Content Standard 1.0A.D.7, work with addition and subtraction equations. We will meet Practice Standard 2, reason abstractly and quantitatively, Standard 4, model with mathematics, and Standard 5, use appropriate tools strategically. Our instructional objectives consist of students being able to write addition sentences in up to the number 10. Students will use manipulatives if they choose. Our materials will consist of whiteboards, counting bears, and a worksheet about number sentences. Students will use their knowledge of number bonds in order to make addition sentences to 10. Our introduction will consist of students practicing writing the 2 parts of a number bond with a given whole. The teacher will model how to create an addition number sentence. Questions. Does part plus part equal the whole? How do you know? This will take 3 to 5 minutes. We will move on and the teacher will guide students in completing a number bond. The students will create their own addition sentence based on the number bond. The teacher will display a picture on the smartboard. Students will be asked to complete a number bond based on the picture. Students will construct an addition sentence based on the number bond. The picture activity will be repeated twice. The teacher will ask, what will our add-ins be? How did you find that? What is our sum? How did you use the picture to help you? This will take 15 to 20 minutes.
That's it? The whole thing?